Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a long-term technical analysis breakdown on TIlray. TIlray is obviously one of the premier pot stocks. So here we have the monthly chart, and essentially we're just going to break it down from the monthly back towards our daily and see what's happening here, because we are getting some developments on TIlray. So it was initially publicly offered in July of 2018 for about $22, and then from then it went on a massive spike over the next couple of months, up to about $300. Since then, it had bled down for quite some time, and then we put in a wick bottom somewhere around March 2020, and then we came back down and put in a lower candle close around September of 2020. After that, we went on a parabolic uptrend back to a lower high and then continued to go down. From there, we went down to a lower low based on candle closes, but never quite got to the same level as that wick. So now here we are, still very, very close to the all-time low. Up a little bit off of that level. It was roughly around like 275. We're up roughly like almost 100%, up to about $5 now. So it may seem like it has come quite a far distance from the bottom, basically a double up if you bought the absolute bottom. But the truth is, most people that purchase into this got it somewhere closer to like the $20 range. So it's still down about 75% from there. And if we just pull out our drawing tool and go from the actual wick to where we are right now, it's still down 98% from the all-time high. So still plenty of meat on the bone for this one. Now, the real question is, we have a clear defined downtrend. We have a high, we have a low, we have a lower high followed by a lower low. So what we would expect to happen is eventually a relief rally that leads us back to another lower high. So if that is the case, we know based on closes or based on wicks, either way we had put in a lower high, and we have been unable to get back above the 21 on the monthly at any point in time. Now here we have almost all green histograms on the TDMACD. We were in the bearish control zone. We are getting the hard buy signal on the Jewel Thief, but we're still quite a ways away from the 20 level. And we know that not only do we want to see the hard buy signal, but we actually want to see an exit of the bearish control zone. So that is still a ways off, as we're basically trending around like the 7 to 8 level. So still quite away from confirming a hard buy signal and exit of the bearish control zone, which is one of our criteria. But that being said, it seems likely at this point in time that if we can get through this little bit of resistance right here, then we're going to come up here and retest the 21. Now, we could get a wick above the 21. We could get rejected right at the 21, but that seems like a probable target right now for like short to medium term, somewhere around like $8.39 if this rally continues to the upside. And that's going to give us, again, just from where we're at right now, assuming you're not in position, 65% rally. So there's definitely some meat on the bone there. Let's go ahead and switch down now to our weekly time frame. So here we are on the weekly, and again we can see this was our little parabolic spike right here, and then we essentially have been melting down since then. But what we're going to pay attention to now is the weekly 8 and 21 moving averages. So here they were in a bear market the entire time, and then here we actually crossed back into a bull market based on the 8 and 21. We see they are green now. The last time when they switched green, we held above them for a little bit, and then we went parabolic again to a lower high, but there was still quite a bit of meat on the bone for this trade setup, somewhere between 331%, and the wick took us up to about 800%. So even if you're somewhere in the middle or on the more conservative side based on candle closes, you're still talking about almost a 3x on your money. So that being said, there's definitely some potential here, as what we basically are looking for is our trend following strategy. And we know we were very bearish on TIlray back here in 2019 when the 821 bear crossed on the weekly. We got very, very bullish here on TIlray in November of 2020 before we went parabolic. And then again, we took profits and got very, very bearish once again at about $17 in May of 2021. So following that same strategy, if you just sold when we had the bear cross and you bought back when we had the bull cross, you saved yourself a 91% drawdown right here. So if you had $100 in this asset, you would have had 9 left. Instead, you still have your full 100. And then same thing right here. If you just bought after the cross took place and then sold when the bear cross took place, you gained 159%. So just using this basic strategy, we avoided a 90+% downside. We were able to capitalize on 159% upside. And then once again, from that bear cross, we were able to avoid one more time a 78% drawdown again. And now here we are at the bull cross. So now we have the 8 and 21 flipping green. We have the bull cross. And so the real question is, if this continues, where are we headed? So we have a clear descending channel here in white. We know obviously a breakout of that channel will likely give us the measure move. The measure move being the distance from the bottom of the channel to the top of the channel. So that's essentially what we're looking for. That would take us roughly somewhere around like $8. So now that we have a potential confirmed bottom, what we're looking for is a back test of the 236. So we have a Fibonacci drawn from the top, the peak right here at about 65 bucks on that last parabolic bull run, and then to the trough down here at our low, which was like $2.50 roughly. And then we have our internal Fibonacci here in yellow. So the 236 is the confirmation. So the 236 is the confirmation point. Once we reach a 236, we would then expect some kind of consolidation and the potential retest of the 382, and that lines up almost perfectly with our measure move to the upside. So the 382 target's going to be roughly around $8.99. The defined area that we want to clear, confirming that at least short term the bottom is in, is $5.76. That's still a ways from where we're at right now, about a 15% move. But regardless of how we look at that, if we do get our target, which is a retest of the 382, we're talking about 78% upside. If we get all the way up here to the 0.5, which is the common retrace, and starts to really approach the weekly 200s, we're talking about roughly 165% move to the upside. So anyone that's already in this trade setup that has been following the channel for some time, we're on our way up here for a 289% target. We did take some profits when we got to resistance right here, and we'll gladly buy back in at a higher price and refill our position with more confidence as we start to confirm this breakout and see continuation. So that being said, we have positive slope on the TDMACD. It is blue. We have multiple green histograms. We're approaching the zero line, all things that we want to see. We have left the bearish control zone. We've got now a hard buy signal. The Stochs are powerfully angled to the upside. The knife is as well. And it looks like there's some room for continuation. Obviously, we talked about the 821 bull cross taking place. Now, it's important to realize that at any point in time, you can come back down here, lose this level, and then just continue to sell off. But as long as the 821 are crossed bullishly on the weekly, as long as this is green, we're telling us momentum is to the upside. And the more this moves, the more other people will get involved. So we're at a key resistance now based on these previous bottoms. We have some other key levels based on the Fibonacci's on the way up, including the 236, the 382. And then if we really zoom out and look at the full chart, we can see we have a Fibonacci in orange drawn all the way from the top here to all the way the wick at the bottom right there. And we can see that gives us the orange 236 and 382. So the 236 kind of falls between the other two in yellow, and then the 382 is slightly above the 0.5 and lines up roughly around the 618 and the 200 moving averages. So there's definitely some potential for this trade setup to play out. Obviously, nothing is set in stone, and we've already had a little bit of a leg up now. But as we start to build confidence, if we see the markets continue to the upside, there's definitely some potential for short to medium term targets back to the upside. Now, the truth is, when we came down here from the top to the bottom, and then we saw this reaction rally, basically like this, essentially a dead cat bounce, sold off 90 something percent, and then we went back up 61%. We see here in orange, or roughly, the closes were closer to the 50%. So it means that we took an entire leg down. We got back about 50 to 62% of that. And then afterwards, we continued back down to retest the lows. So it really was just a reflex rally or reaction rally or short squeeze or take profits, however you want to look at it. So that being said, we have now revisited the bottom of the range. It's not crazy to think that we're about to get something similar to what we saw already. Now, because the first time we did the macro 618 or 0.5, it's less likely now that we're going to come up to that macro 0.5 or the 618 without going into a confirmed uptrend. So the next real area we're looking at is that macro 382 in orange. So $15 seems likely right now. Again, we're at $5 now. So if this area holds, this breakout holds, it's not crazy to think that we could see a triple in TIlray in a very short period of time, similar to what we saw right here. Now, once we get up to these levels, it's important to watch till we get back on top of the 200 moving averages. So now let's go down to our daily time frame here. And here we are looking at the daily. Essentially what we have here, again, we can see the confirmation breakout of the descending resistance. Very important, as we've been unable to do that going back to like February of 2021. So a breakout of that is very key. And then here we are fighting with the 200 exponential and simple moving average. So we cleared the 200 simple. It still has a negative slope for now. We're now on top of the 200 exponential as well on today's candle. And it is starting to flip blue, which means it's basically flat. So it could go either way. We're seeing a potential bull cross on the stochastics here. The knife is very high after this recent move. Took us up from about $3.80 to $5. So we could be seeing some short-term exhaustion, a pullback, a retest, consolidation around this level. The important thing is if we can consolidate above 432, especially if we can consolidate above $5, that's going to give us the recharge we need for another leg to the upside. And then here on the indicator oscillators, we can see we have blue slope line on the TDMACD, a bunch of green histograms. We're above the zero line, all positive. We have the 821 bull cross right here, and we're retesting or reclaiming the 200s. So once they flip back blue, the 200 exponential is already above the 200 simple. Once both of them are blue, that's going to be very bullish as well. And then finally, based on the stochastics, we're about to get that hard buy signal as the cross is very close to taking place. So again, there's definitely some serious upside potential on TIlray, regardless of whether it actually confirms into a longer term bull market and is headed back to new all-time highs. We're talking about like a 2 to 3x. So definitely worth paying attention to. Some of the other pot stocks looking phenomenal as well. TIlray is one of the larger names and has some of the better fundamentals based on their actual like earnings and profitability metrics. All the pot stocks have been devastated over the last few years. So arguably they're all trading at great value, assuming that they do well into the future and expand and don't go away. Some of them will likely get bought up by some of the bigger players just to maintain existence, because as of now, the majority of these companies are not profitable. So the truth is there's definitely some potential for these pot stocks, in particular TIlray. If you do enjoy these static videos, make sure you let me know down below so I can do more of them. I'll take a look at other pot stocks, uranium stocks, various other things, whatever you guys are interested in. If you have any requests, leave them down in the comments, and we'll be putting out these static videos daily. So let me know what you think. What's your opinion? What are your targets to the upside? Long term, are you bullish on pot stocks based on fundamentals or technicals? Crypto Trend Trader with our long term analysis for TIlray, ticker TLRY, TIlray Brands Inc. pot stock.